What's up, guys? Coming back. We're going to go over quadratic standard form. And as always, check out the videos before we look at it. So we're going to go ahead and click into standard form. Then we're going to go ahead and start working practice problems here. So when it asks us to graph the equation, so let's actually first go ahead and write down this. So you should know how to graph. You already know how to graph. You know you can go X, Y, and just start picking points right and left. Okay, so you should know that. I want to show you two different methods for graphing. I think that will help. You get to where it's easier to graph. Get rid of that. So I'm going to go through the method I would tell you to do first. Okay? And I think the method that's the best way to graph these is to first find the vertex. So there's two steps involved with finding the first step, the vertex, so we'll call it first A, is you need to use the axis of symmetry. So what do I mean by that? X equals negative b over 2a. That's what we're going to use. Now this should look very familiar. You should be like, wait, last video, I remember seeing this stuff. And that's correct. This is part of the quadratic formula. If you break down the quadratic formula, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Here, we have the discriminant. Okay, that's the discriminant. This determines the number of zeros we have. The other piece is right here. That determines the vertex. So it determines the midpoint. Your discriminant figures out how far on each side of your axis of symmetry will your zeros be. But there's your vertex. So that's the first thing. And then we'll go, you know what, we need to take that back. And then we'll say first B, find the min or max. Obviously depends on if it opens up or down. Basically, plug in X, get out Y. Okay, so that's the first step we're going to do. So let's go ahead and actually start doing that. So negative b over 2a is equal to negative of negative 4 over 2 times 1. So how do I know what is what? Well, remember there's a, there's b, and there's c, okay? So negative of negative 4 is a positive 4. 2 times 1 is 2. 4 over 2 is 2. So the axis of symmetry is 2. So that means what this tells you. I know my vertex. Oh dear, that was terrible. But you'll have to get over it. My axis of symmetry is along this line somewhere. Okay? It's along that line somewhere. That's terrible. We'll get over it. We'll get over it, okay? Now that I know my axis of symmetry, go back and plug it in. So look here. We have y equals x, which is 2. So 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 5, which is 4. 2 squared is 4 minus 8 plus 5. 4 minus 8 is negative 4 plus 5 is 1. So my vertex is equal to, come on, there we go. Vertex is 2, comma, 1. So 2, 1, right there. There's my vertex, okay? So that's the first key piece of information. We have the vertex. Now what do we do? Well, let's erase our work here. Okay. The second thing, we need to get some other points now. The second point I would tell you to get, so let me finish erasing this and we'll do it. Okay, so the second step I will tell you to do. So second, find the Y-intercept. And it's always super easy. It's C. Now, why is it C? Well, if you look at it, the y-intercept, the key piece of information at the y-intercept is x is 0. Well, look here. If x is 0, right? If x is 0, 0 squared 0 minus 4 times 0, all this cancels out, leaving 5. So the y-intercept is equal to 5, so 0, 5. So now I have another point here. So what about the rest of these points, Coach? Where else should we get some more points? Well, this is really the last step, step 3. The last thing I would tell you to do to get points is I would choose points. I would choose only one set of points. There we go. I would choose points on one side of the y-intercept. On the side of the y-intercept. Let me try to say that again. Choose x values on the y-intercept side of the vertex. What do I mean by that? Choose, let me use the mouse so you can see it. So we could pick any points around here, and I would say pick points close to the vertex because it's going to be really close to the vertex, so you won't have to deviate too much to be easier on you. But choose some x's here because you already got the y-intercept. So I'm going to choose x is 1 and x is negative 1. So in this case, when x is equal to 1 and when x is equal to negative 1. So let's do that. When x is equal to 1, that's y equals 1 squared minus 4 times 1 plus 5. 1 squared is 1 minus 4 plus 5. That is 2. Okay, let's go to the next one. We have y equals negative 1 squared minus 4 times negative 1 plus 5. That is 1 plus 4 plus 5. Notice that, plus 4 plus 5. 10. So it would be here. Now, why did I say choose them only on this side? And this is the thing if you work smarter, not harder. Since this is the axis, whoops, mouse. Since this is the axis of symmetry, x equals 2. Any point on one side of the axis of symmetry gets flipped to the other side like that, okay? So if I'm looking at this point here, it goes 1 to the right to get to the x-axis, or the x-axis of symmetry, 1 more over. It's 1, 2 to the right, so 1, 2 to the right. 1, 2, 3 to the right, 1, 2, 3 to the right. And there's our parabola. So it's not bad. Not bad. Let's see. Let's put it here and there. So here and there. So again, I can check it. It went here, there, and there. And sure enough, we are good. Okay, so hopefully that helps. We'll do one more. Ooh. Let's do it. Let's do it. I was going to show you a second method. The second method I'll just tell you out loud. I'm not going to do the second method with this problem because screw that. But the second method you can use, you can complete the square and get it in vertex form. I would never complete the square if a is not 1 though. Since this a is not 1, nope, I'm going to do the thing I just told you. I'm going to find my axis of symmetry. So x equals negative b over 2a. That is negative 2 over 2 times 1/5. That is negative 2 over 2/5. But dividing by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. So the 2's cancel. Negative 5 is my x. Now since x is negative 5, go over here and plug it in. So we have f of x, which is y, equals negative 1/5 times negative 5. Sorry. Sorry. So 1/5 times 5 is 1. Negative times negative makes a positive, so it's 1. Minus 10 minus 4, which is negative 13. Ooh, is that right? Let's make sure real quickly. Negative 5 times 1. Okay, so no, That's not right. Look here. This is negative 5 squared. Oh, that's going to change everything. Well, I'm glad we did this live. Y'all could see some mistakes. I don't mind making mistakes for you guys. Everyone's going to make mistakes. The thing is you got to look at that and go, wait, that doesn't look right. So this is positive 25. So this is negative 1/5 times 25. This is going to be minus 10 minus 4. So 1/5 of 25 is 5. So this is negative 5, which minus 10 minus 4 is negative 19. Make sure we're right. Heh. Boy, we made mistakes right and left. A is negative. That should have been a negative 2. That should have been negative 2/5. That should have been a negative. That makes that positive 5. So notice how I'm doing this. Oh, it doesn't matter in the end, because look here, positive 5 squared. Oh, it does matter, because this is going to become positive 5. This becomes positive 10. Positive 10. So hopefully, I hope you're seeing exactly what I'm doing here. We made mistakes. We're having to go back and figure out what we did. Happens all the time. Mistakes are going to happen. So 5, 1. So we got right there. Now, let's talk about some characteristics of quadratics real quickly before we go. This one video is going to have to be over this one lesson. There's no way we're going to get word problems in here too. So let's talk about some characteristics of each thing. So let's talk about A. A is super important. A not only tells you opens up or down, but it also tells you how wide or how narrow a parabola will be, okay? So let's talk about how to know when's what, okay? Okay? And hopefully you've looked through the notes and you've watched those videos, but let me real quickly just say this. If A is positive, then it opens up. If A is negative, it opens down. And then I'm going to say it like this. I'm not going to actually write it, but the greater the greater the absolute value of A is, the narrower or more narrow, we're going to say narrower. Narrower, that's not a word. I can already tell you. That's not a word. Let's do it like this. The more narrow. More narrow? That doesn't sound right. Whatever. You guys know what I'm saying. The more narrow the parabola will be. Okay? So the greater the absolute value of A is, the more that thing is just going to sit there and it's going to balloon up fast. Because think about it. You're squaring a term and multiplying it times. The thing's going to blow up. Now, the smaller it is. So in other words, the closer to 0 it gets, right? The wider it will be. So I'm not going to write the other one because you should understand it's inversely operated there. But the wider it is, it means the bigger that, or the closer to 0 the absolute value of A was. So 1/5, this thing's going to open up pretty wide because 1's pretty normal. 1/5 is pretty wide, okay? So let's remember that as we go through and graph this. Erase on link. So now I need to find my, that was my first one. My y-intercept is -4, which is down here. Coach, it opens down? It does. And the reason I know it opens down is that negative, right? So now I'm going to choose some x's over here. So I'm going to choose 4 and 3 maybe? Oh, there are not any good values. Why am I saying not any good values? See that 1/5 right there? I don't like it. I don't like that 1/5. I don't like that 1/5 at all. Well, for the purposes of finding another point, you technically have enough points to graph this parabola with, but I want you to be able to find one more. I'm going to at least plug in one more value. I'm going to plug in... Do I want 4? No, let's go 1. 1 will be easier. So let's say if x is equal to 1, we have f of x is equal to negative 1/5 times 1 squared plus 2 times 1 minus 4. This is why I chose this. This is just going to become negative 1/5. Plus 2 minus 4, that's negative 1/5 minus 2. That's negative 2 1/5, or negative 11 over 5. So negative 2 1/5, somewhere right around there. Okay, but again, you already technically have enough points because here's going to be your vertex, and this is going to be your point you put there. Okay, so let's just go ahead and plot them. Oh, I got to move it. I just heard Amelia fall or something. Yep, there we go. We should be good now. There we go. So go back through, watch this video, watch his videos. Graphing quadratics is not hard. It's pretty easy. But you have to understand the process of doing it before you start. It really does help. So go back, rewatch these videos. YouTube search graphing quadratics in standard form. It will help, okay? Thanks, guys.